Hello everyone, my name is Jessa Amacna, and today I am going to report about globalization.
What is globalization? Globalization is the process of interaction and integration among people, companies, and governments worldwide. Globalization is about the interconnectedness of people and businesses across the world that eventually leads to global cultural, political, and economic integration. It is the ability to move and communicate easily with others all over the world in order to conduct business internationally. Globalization has accelerated since the 18th century due to advances in transportation and communication technology. This increase in global interactions has caused a growth in international trade and the exchange of ideas and culture. Globalization is primarily an economic process of interaction and integration that is associated with social and cultural aspects. However, disputes and diplomacy are also large parts of the history of globalization and of modern globalization. When did globalization first start? It began in the late 50th century when the two kingdoms of the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal and Castle, sent the first exploratory voyages around the Cape of Good Hope and to the Americas, discovered in 1492 by Christopher Columbus. Many historians claim the first wave of globalization began with the gold standard in the 18,066, even though there was mass trade across the Atlantic, chartered trading companies, and the slave industry. There was still no global price convergence at the time. Types of globalization. Political globalization. Political globalization refers to the amount of political cooperation that exists between different countries. This ties in with the belief that umbrella global organizations are better placed than individual states to prevent conflict. The League of Nations established after WW1 was certainly one of the pioneers in this. Since then, global organizations such as the World Trade Organization, United Nations, and more regional organizations such as the EU have helped to increase the degree of political globalization. Social globalization. Social globalization refers to the sharing of ideas and information between and through different countries. In today's world, the internet and social media is at the heart of this. Good example of social globalization could include internationally popular films, books, and TV series. The Harry Potter or Twilight films and the books have been successful all over the world, making the characters feature globally recognizable. However, these cultural flows tend to flow from this center. Social globalization is often criticized for eroding cultural differences. Economic globalization. Economic globalization refers to the interconnectedness of economies through trade and the exchange of resources. Effectively, therefore, no national economy really operates in isolation, which means national economies influence each other. This is clearly evidenced by global recession from 2007 onwards. Economic globalization also means that there is a two-way structure for technologies and resources. For example, countries like the USA will sell their technologies to countries which lack this, and natural resources from developing countries are sold to the developed countries that need them. Aspect of globalization. Like globalization itself, political globalization has several dimensions and lends itself to a number of interpretations. It has been discussed in the context of new emancipatory possibilities as well as in the context of loss of autonomy and fragmentation of social world. Political globalization can be seen in changes such as democratization of the world, creation of the global civil society, and moving beyond the centrality of the nation-state, particularly as the sole actor in the field of politics. Some of the questions central to the discussion of the political globalization are related to the future of the nation-state, whether its importance is diminishing and what are the causes for those changes, and the understanding the emergence of the concept of global governance. The creation and existence of the United Nations has been called one of the classic examples of political globalization. Political actions by non-governmental organizations and social movements concerned about various topics such as environmental protection is another example. Example of globalization. Trade. The exchange of goods and services between nations. Trade is a feature of an ancient societies that has expanded due to improvements in transportation, political stability, and cooperation. Travel. The ability to travel and experience other places and cultures. Communication. International system of communication began with mail services that were impressively global by the late 19th century. Telephone services were more or less global by the early 20th century. This made the world feel like a smaller place as you could instantly talk to anyone anywhere in real time. Transportation. International system of transportation such as shipping and air travel. Knowledge has always spread from the country to country with word of mouth and written text. This occurs almost instantly now due to the internet. Media and entertainment, such as movies and magazines, are commonly distributed in multiple countries. culture have always influenced each other due to the spread of knowledge and people. This process is accelerated in the modern age. Culture can exist at many levels such as nation, region, city, neighborhood, subculture, or superculture. It is also possible that a global culture will emerge. Culture by its nature does not change quickly and can vary greatly even within one nation. As such, global culture would likely complement national cultures as opposed to replacing them. Legal agreements between nations such as trade agreements or environmental regulations. Modern globalization is associated with multilateral agreements whereby many countries agree to a single agreement as opposed to a complex web of bilateral agreements between nation and nation. Environment. The planet has a common resources. In theory, this can be completely used up or destroyed by a single nation. As such, international cooperation and law is seen as a hope for avoiding declines in quality of life due to environmental mismanagement. Human rights. Without trade, the international community has less leverage over issues such as human rights within the borders of a nation. Trade sanctions are commonly used to respond to human rights issues. Political stability. Forum for resolving international disputes and establishing international cooperation. Capital. Capital is a term for financial assets, such as funds held in deposit accounts and or funds obtained from special financing sources. Capital assets are assets of a business found on either the current or long-term portion of the balance sheet.